Hi friends, it's me, Lee. I know it's been a while, but a lot's been happening. As you can tell, I'm in a new apartment. I have new hair or no hair, and I have a new laptop, which you can't see, but still. So I'm really excited. I hope that in this new space, I'll make videos more regularly. So yeah, let's just get into it. As you can tell by the title, I'm going to review a fanfic that I read probably about a week ago, and it just really got to me, and I felt like I had to do a video about it because I feel like a lot of fanfiction content on YouTube is based around like making fun of it, like really bad stories and stuff like that. And I just feel like more attention needs to be paid to the good work because honestly, there's some amazing stuff out there. There's stuff that I've read years ago or more recently, and I'll just think about it in my day to day life. I'll think of an image or a certain line that really got to me, or like a scenario or this part that really like touched my heart and stuff like that. And I just feel like the good stuff deserves its time too. I mean, that's if you're reading fan fiction, you want the good stuff. So this story definitely caters to someone who's into not just like hate reading something. Anyway, I haven't gotten an editing software or anything, so I'm going to just read from my phone. I know it's kind of lame, but hey, I'm trying. And also the lighting and stuff, I need to figure things out. Anyway, the story I'm going to talk about is called Bring Your Own Sun, S-U-N. It's rated NC-17 for language. The pairings are primarily Remus Sirius, James Lilly and mentions of Remus Tonks, and Peter with various original characters. So it's definitely about the Marauders, which almost everything I read is focusing on that generation because I just love them more and feel more connected to them and find them more interesting. So the summary is it's not about completing someone but complimenting them, which is kind of cheesy, but it's sweet and true, so that got to me. The warnings include swearing, cigarette smoking, alcohol guzzling, and drug using boys. So you can tell right away that this is, I mean, also the NC-17, it's a grittier story. These characters are flawed. It's not a shiny, happy story. And personally, I love it. That's the stuff I like. I like the darker takes. I like the characters humanized. Anyway, I'm rambling now, but I'm excited. So the word count is 9,000, a little over 9,400 words. And I know sometimes that doesn't tell you much. So I looked it up and it turns out that would take about 72 minutes to read. So if you are stopping or not going super fast, it's almost an hour and 15 minutes to read, which is it's a pretty sizable story. I remember, I mean, it took me a couple days to finish it because I didn't read it straight. And so let me go to my note about the story. If I can find my notes. Hold on, I need a drink. Okay. So I found this story through a amazing Tumblr called Wolfstar Warehouse. And Wolfstar, if you don't know, is the pairing name for Remus Lupin and Sirius Black being in a romantic relationship. I feel like it's one of the most popular pairings, probably the most popular when it comes to like the older Harry Potter characters, not like the kids and stuff. Um, so they have a list of stories that were all part of this challenge or group called RS Career Fest, so Remus Sirius Career Fest. So all these people posted prompts that feature Remus and Sirius in various interesting or unique professions, and that's how the story is set. It's like alternate universes, or AUs. So this story has Remus writing smut fiction under a pseudonym, and then Sirius works at a home for troubled youth, basically. And the story starts when Sirius finds one of Remus's books in a boy's backpack that came into the home. And so that's how it starts. And basically, like I said before, this video, I mean, the story is like gritty and messy. There are gangs and drugs, and it sounds messed up, but I love stuff like that. Obviously, gangs and drugs are horrible in real life, but when you're just reading about it, I don't know. I don't know how to talk my way out of saying that drugs and gangs are awesome, because they're not. So I feel like the author was British, which is nice, because the turns of phrase and slang and stuff. I mean, I'm a Texan, so I wouldn't know, but just out of the stuff I've read, it sounded very authentic. And also, there's a ton of tea drinking in the story, so it feels very British. Anyway, most of the characters in the story are troubled in some way. They all feel like they're very world weary, even though, as I was reading it, when I tried to imagine their ages, they weren't crazy. I mean, they were like late 20s, early 30s, which is my age basically. But I can kind of see how if you've lived a certain kind of life, you're going to be kind of jaded by that age already. And so these characters live and have lived pretty hard lives, and it shows in their demeanor. I should also mention that Regulus, Sirius's younger brother, is in this story, which is a huge plus for me because he's one of my favorite characters overall, like in the whole series, and I wish we knew more about him, and I wish his storyline, I don't know, I almost said I miss him. I miss him so much. I mean, I don't know, I wish we could have known him. It's like, I don't know, I knew thee well, or I knew thee whatever. I'm such a dork, I'm sorry. But I found it interesting in this story that Regulus seemed like the most put together of the characters, which was interesting to me because usually when he's in a story, he's kind of troublesome, like a troublemaker, or just sketchy and insecure and stuff like that. So it was cool to see him in a more assertive, or just like a sure of himself character who seemed more to have a more level head than his brother or even Remus. And speaking of Remus, in a sort of similar but opposite situation to Regulus, Remus is different in this story. He's not demure. He's not meek. The word that kept coming to my mind as I was trying to write about how to talk about the story is callous. And I feel like the author did a really good job because she kept enough of Remus's like wittiness and melancholy that it still felt like him. It just felt like him if the world had turned him harder instead of how he seemed to remain soft in the books. So just to see him as kind of a harsh person it seems like it would be off-putting, but honestly, for me, and Remus is my favorite character, I should say. Everything I read has him in it. But it wasn't off-putting. It was refreshing and exciting to see him like that. Because I read a lot of fan fiction, and this level of like, I don't give a fuck type Remus, like I don't see a lot. And I think the author did a really good job. I also feel like in the story, Remus speaks like a writer, which obviously is relevant because that's supposed to be his job. That is his job or side job or whatever. And actually, one of the first things I noticed about this story is that all the dialogue is amazing. It feels very realistic. There's no fluff or padding to like weigh down the rhythm of the plot. I personally, when I'm writing, I feel not most vulnerable, but I feel kind of worried whenever I write dialogue because I'm afraid it's not going to feel natural or I'm just going to get it wrong. Like I feel like dialogue is a very tricky thing to write, even though we speak all the time. There's something about it that, at least for me, is challenging. Also, the relationship between Remus and Sirius felt also very realistic, to keep using my favorite word, apparently. I'm very familiar with being deeply connected to this one person for an extended period of time, and you can't seem to live without them, but it's this kind of sketchy thing where you question whether it's love or whether it's even, if it's love, if it's real love. And anyway, I really got that gray area vibe from the Remus and Sirius in the story. There's obviously a deep connection there, but there's no surety, there's no certainty with what's going on with them. And it felt very authentic in that respect. That's how a lot of relationships are. It didn't make them perfect soulmates that, can't get their hands off each other. Well, they kind of can't get their hands off each other, but it's not like a sugar-coated type of relationship. It's not an idealized relationship, which I feel like is also very important. And sometimes Wolfstar can be a little too sugary, because they've known each other since they were kids and all that stuff, which is good, but it's not my style. And the last thing I'll talk about is the ending, and I'm not going to give away the ending, but I do have to talk about it because it was amazing. It was very simple, but very effective. And it's one of those endings that it doesn't feel like you're closing a book. It doesn't feel like you're shutting off a show. It doesn't feel like it stops. The story continues in your head for a while after you stop reading, which is such an amazing feeling. I don't feel like I get that feeling often. The story kind of flows forward without you. And that just makes it seem like you got a glimpse into people's real lives, because real life never stops and doesn't really have these neat and tidy or cut off points where it's like a scene in a movie and it's like cut or whatever. It's not like that in real life. So the fact that the story felt like it flowed past the page or the words that were written. It was great. I loved it. So in conclusion, I'll end by saying, as you can probably guess, I recommend this story 100%. The link is below, along with the author, and also links to my fan fiction accounts, in case you're curious. A link to my website. Anyway, that's besides the point. I think when I do these reviews, if it's just a single review like this, like one story, I'm going to give it a rating out of 10, and I would give Bring Your Own Sun, a solid 8 out of 10. I love the darkness. I love the dialogue. Everything just felt so realistic. And I know I keep saying that, but it was, and I guess it bears repeating. Anyway, that's about it for me. I have more fan fiction videos in the works. A lot of different top 5 ideas. Top 5 Wolfstar when they're young, top 5 older Wolfstar, top 5 Snoopin', top 5 lighthearted, stuff like that. So if you're into stuff like that, definitely subscribe, leave a comment. What's your favorite pairing? Who's your favorite character? I can't believe it, but I've never met anyone that tells me Remus when I ask them that question. And it just like blows my mind. He's been my favorite since he was sleeping on the train. I was like, who is this guy? He's awesome somehow, even when he's just asleep. Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, I guess that's about it for now. And I will hopefully see you guys much sooner than usual next time. Bye.